So I noticed that when I go to a museum, I would quickly pass through the Baroque and classical rooms, spending slightly more time on the Impressionistic room, but then quickly move to the section of the museum where all the contemporary art was housed. This is true of every single museum I've entered, and I've come to understand and notice this about myself. The other rooms seemed like nice pictures to me that were pleasing, but the contemporary room demanded something of me. It forced me to sit and stare, to grapple with, and it demanded that I spend time with it. Certain pieces would just draw me in, and I really didn't understand why that was. I just let it happen. They had certain secrets that they wanted to reveal. I was attracted to something that I didn't immediately understand, but something told me that the effort of getting to know it was something worthwhile and contained something meaningful. And contemporary music has also been like this museum experience for me. I noticed that the more and more I probed into these strange and unknown pieces by new modernist composers, I realized that I found it fascinating. And these pieces would not reveal themselves right away like other composers, but rather I needed to spend more time with these composers. I needed to actually not judge it by its first listening. And so in some ways it was a little bit like getting to know someone. You know, at first you don't really know that person, and little by little, by hanging out with them, having coffee with them, spending time with them, you get to know the person little by little. And so I found the exact same kind of experience in contemporary music. Contemporary composers are using abstract ideas to better understand themselves and the world. And I think sometimes we might think that we need some kind of special education to understand this music, like we need a theory background or we need some kind of PhD in musicology. I think that's totally not true. If you live in modern society, as you all do, as we all do, that is enough criteria. We live in this hyperactive society with all of this information. And what these composers are trying to do is just represent their time and the time that we live in through sound. You know, it reminds me of when some of Beethoven's pieces were premiered, the public totally panned him. They thought that some of it was totally ununderstandable. And the same famous example of Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, where there was riots afterwards because people got so freaked out by this music. What happens through repeated listening is that, you know, eventually people absorb this new music, and what was once weird is now not weird anymore. And so these Beethoven pieces and these Stravinsky pieces that were once totally unlistenable 100 or 200 or 300 years ago are now completely commonplace, and are part of the classical canon. So if you're interested in contemporary music, or you have some kind of feeling that while there might be something there to learn that new piece of piano music or violin music or whatever instrument you play, try a couple things. First, go towards that feeling. And then the second thing is really don't listen to it in the same way that you would listen to a Beethoven piece. The composer is not trying to be Beethoven, obviously. The composer is trying to do something different. Try to see the composer on his or her ground. What is the composer trying to do with his or her language? And instead of trying to quickly judge the piece from the first listening, give it some time. Spend a month with the piece and see what it will reveal to you. I think you might be very surprised that the piece has a lot to say, but it just needs time to say it. Don't be quick to judge the piece because you don't absorb it straight away, or you don't necessarily understand the piece straight away. Don't be afraid of getting out of your comfort zone. Try new kinds of music that gets you to think about different musical languages and explorations. It's very much similar to if you were to travel to a different country with a different language and different food and different culture. You either can embrace it or you can keep on going to McDonald's and Starbucks, eating the same stuff that you normally eat all the time. Well, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this little video on how to find meaning in contemporary music. If you're new to this channel, please like and subscribe. There is a new free newsletter that you all can sign up for. It'll also be in the comments section here. Be well and stay creative.